And we are joined now by former RNC Communications Director Doug Heye. Doug, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the Democrats for a moment. With Hillary Clinton's email controversy continuing to swirl, is she so weakened now that there is room for a Biden campaign?
I think there's potentially room for a Biden campaign. We've seen Bernie Sanders doing really well in the campaign so far in Iowa, in New Hampshire. A lot of that is pro-Bernie. But what's also happening is not just that Hillary's been distracted by the email situation and who knows what scandal or how it's going to develop, but she's not having the conversation with Iowa Democrats, with New Hampshire Democrats, nationally Democrats that she wants to. I think if you're Joe Biden, the smart thing to do is exactly what he's doing right now. Be coy and be available if needed. Right now, it's not sure. Hillary Clinton has had a great track record of being able to weather scandals, weather storms, and she may be able to do that again. But right now, she's really vulnerable.
Doug, I want to talk about this pledge.
Yeah.
This pledge that the RNC is asking presidential candidates to sign, pledging that they will not try to seek a third-party nomination to support the eventual nominee. I find it fascinating that Reince Priebus is going to Trump Tower to talk to Mr. Trump. Yeah. Does that give you any insights into perhaps maybe Trump is sort of running the show now?
Well, Trump's the front runner. I don't think anybody denies that now. We've seen poll after poll of Trump in first place, increasing his lead nationally and in certain states. So I think it's imperative for the RNC to talk to him first, also because he's kind of the unpredictable one, as we've seen. It's almost predictable how unpredictable he is. But since he's the front runner, and since he's made noises about possible third-party runs, refused to rule it out, that's the signature you need the most.
But why have him sign the loyalty pledge? It's not binding. I mean, realistically, what leverage does the RNC have if he chooses to break that pledge?
And is there any upside for Mr. Trump to sign it?
Well, I think the upside is there are a lot of people who are still a little nervous about maybe they support his candidacy or want to, but ultimately our goal, all Republicans' goals, is to defeat Hillary Clinton next November if she's obviously the nominee. So for Trump to sign that, he actually could increase his lead to say, look, I am a team player, something he's really never said before. I think the RNC not only is making the smart move, but they have to at least, they would not have gone this far if they weren't comfortable that Trump would sign the pledge. We know how unpredictable he is, so maybe they're just engaged to be engaged right now, and we'll find out this afternoon, but clearly they're comfortable with where things are.
I think it's interesting, a point that you just made, Doug, which is that the Republicans' goal is to defeat the eventual Democratic nominee, Hillary Clinton, presumably. It seems to a lot of people that Donald Trump doesn't necessarily care about that. He just wants to be president. Is that your sense as well?
Well, does
he care about defeating the Democrats, or does he just care about being?
I think there's only one way to get there, and that's, if your goal, we're in New York City. The New York Yankees want to be the World Series champion. Eventually, they're going to have to beat the Dodgers, the Cardinals, whomever it is.
Right.
But that's ultimately your goal. If you're running for president, you want to win in the end, and that's what Trump's goal will be if this is all a very serious policy and detail-oriented campaign, which we'll see.
Which, has it been that way?
Not yet. And that's the interesting thing about the Jeb Bush attack on Trump, which, Jeb has been pretty, and most candidates, Republican candidates, have been hesitant to go after Trump. And when when they have in the past, look at Rick Perry, look at Lindsey Graham from South Carolina, they've gone after him personally, and it's backfired. And it's meant that for the next week, we talk about Lindsey Graham's cell phone, or we talk about essentially whatever Donald Trump wants to talk about. So what Jeb has done is he's gone into policy, he's gone into Trump's history, and I think that can be the soft underbelly of Trump's undoing, is going after him by treating him as a serious candidate, which is what just hasn't been done so far.
Couldn't it be seen as a sign of weakness if Donald Trump signs this pledge, because he's presented himself as this anti-establishment candidate, as someone who is outside of Washington, outside of the whole machinations that happen. He's not a politician. So some might say, by signing this, that seems to erode some of that credibility.
No, I think it's difficult to say that you're an anti-establishment figure when you brag about Hillary Clinton attending your wedding. If Hillary Clinton has attended your wedding, this is not a criticism of her. If a former First Lady and former Secretary of State attends your wedding, you're in some kind of an establishment. But I think signing this pledge again sends the message, if he signs it, that he's serious.
Just on one last point there, on the same-sex marriage issue that's brewing in Kentucky right now, you've had Rand Paul, Marco Rubio that have supported Kim Davis, who refuses to marry same-sex couples. Is the GOP at risk of alienating those who are perhaps not religious conservatives? Because the idea now, I'm guessing from the RNC, is to be more all-inclusive, at least to give the perception of that.
Sure, and this, I think, comes down to somebody who should be doing what their job is. Rand Paul, I think, said something interesting, which is maybe we can find some other way to accommodate this. Certainly people have strongly held religious beliefs, and that we don't want to see them have their religious beliefs violated. But at the same time, people who are charged with doing a job for the state government, local government, federal government need to do the job they were hired to do.
It is the law of the land.
Absolutely. And when the Supreme Court rules you have to do this, that makes it more difficult for somebody to try and abstain. But then we get into the whole argument then again about, catering weddings and so forth, where it does get into some murky water.
All right. We could talk to you for so long.
Yes, it's so interesting, fascinating.
You don't want to do that.
Doug Heye, thank you so much.
Thank you.